And he just walks up to me and shoots me right in the gut. God told me that I really needed to forgive him.
Hello, my name is Chris Oppenheimer, and this is the Coming Clean podcast. Today, we have Trent Thompson. He needs a kidney because he was shot by his son, but it's a story of forgiveness. I appreciate you being here, but I want to thank our good friend Laurie for introducing us, because I had a vision to start this podcast and it's been talked about for a while. But I kind of put it up into the universe like I've got to find the right person, the right vibe, because coming clean goes core to my soul. And when I heard your story, I was inspired, and I'll be completely honest. I passed it off to another person because I got busy. And I take full responsibility for that, because I know now your story has a lot to do with the reflection of my own story. And so thank you for being here today.
Well, I appreciate the invite, and it's my pleasure.
Absolutely. And let's just get to the heart of it. You're a father,
Yep.
You have a son, and your son got addicted to methamphetamines. Am I correct?
You are correct, along with a plethora of other drugs. But yes,
A lot of different things. I guess
Yes.
that's where I resonate, is what that feeling is like to
Okay.
be on that. And so I kind of put myself in the place of your son
Mhm.
when I'm sharing the story, because my life could have landed me right where your son is today. And thankfully, someone in my life, my mother, showed up at the instant when I was about to be taken away, or I would be in prison to this day myself. And so when I heard your story, I knew that that's what coming clean was for me. Is I believe the first step to true healing is to be able to share our story. And so today is no longer about me and where I've been, but I want others to recognize that it could happen to any family. And
Yes.
so let's just take it back, because they say things start in our childhood.
Okay.
And I don't want to go all the way to your childhood, but let's go to what it was to become a father.
Okay.
Tell us your marriage was, how did you have your son? Like, let's just start there
Okay.
with it all, if that works for you.
Absolutely. So I was married in 1996. Big wedding, like out of a fairy tale, at Bentwater Country Club. I'm talking the horse-drawn carriages. I mean, on the surface, everything looked like, this guy and his wife have it made, and and we kind of did have the honeymoon for about a year, and then Trevor was born about a year thereafter. So he was born in 97. So he was born in wedlock.
Well, that's great. So you said something. It looked like the fairy tale.
Oh yeah.
So what does that mean? Like, because we both know people
Mm-hmm.
that get married, it's big and beautiful,
Yeah.
but what was really going on behind the scenes? Because that could lead into, which is your forgiveness for your own son.
Mm-hmm.
But tell us what that was like, the marriage. What was really going on? Because if we can take your story and that be the light for another human being, then we've both done our job.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so like what was really going on beyond the facade of the fairy tale was,
Well, why was it a fairy tale? Like,
well, it wasn't. It just looked like one. It looked like one on the surface. She came from a very wealthy family. I came from a very well-to-do family. And just the wedding was still, I mean, anybody that went to that wedding would tell you that that was the most incredible wedding they ever seen. And, but they kind of call that time frame the honeymoon period. And we had our honeymoon. We went to Acapulco, and it was a good marriage, for about a year. And then, Yeah, shortly after Trevor was born. Um, but there's so many different streets I can go down right now.
Well, let's focus on Trevor.
Okay.
And let's go down the street with him. What was your relationship with your son, Trevor,
Sure.
right?
I was,
Were you a stay-at-home father? Did you work? Did his mother work? Were you all together? What was it like in his upbringing?
kind of a traditional, I would go to work and then my, ex-wife would, stay home and that was the plan, was that she would be a stay-at-home mom. Um, and then, I would go to work and come home after work and I was just obsessed with him from the time I cut his umbilical cord. He just always was always chuckling, always smiling, just these beautiful blue eyes and white blonde hair and really never was colicky. I kind of called him a user-friendly baby because he was so easy. He, didn't really wake us up at night and it's like, wow, this baby's perfect. So
The perfect son.
yeah, he was. I just, 50 billion pictures. There was no Facebook at the time, but if there was, I probably would have crashed all the servers just because I just wanted pictures and pictures. And he was just a beautiful, beautiful baby. And obviously my mom and, my dad um, loved having a grandchild. And everybody that saw him just kind of put him on, just on on a, on a pedestal, I guess, and very spoiled.
So he had a good life.
He had a really good life, and until our marriage started to really take a toll, and that was more hell on him than anybody.
So did a lot of the confrontation between you and your former wife, was that done in front of him? Was it done outside of him? Or,
All
kids
the
can feel the
above.
energy as well,
All of the above.
all the above.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time,
Mhm.
what would be one thing that you would do differently about his childhood? I've never had children.
Mhm.
But as parents, I always see people, I would do this differently. Looking back, don't want you to beat yourself up. You've
Mhm.
already forgiven yourself. That's why you're here, right?
Right.
And you've forgiven him as well.
Right.
And so, what is the one thing, if there's somebody listening, because there's a lot of people with a lot of wealth, and a lot of times people think addiction only happens in homes where there's no money.
Oh
And
no.
I know myself, when
Right.
you have a lot of money, it can become a lot bigger issue
Sure.
real quick.
Yep.
And in big places around the world.
Hmm.
So what was that like? Like, what would you change about his childhood that may have affected what happened? Do you think that has anything to do with the direction he did? Because we just don't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to use drugs today.
Right.
There's got to be something deeper. And you being as wise as you are, what do you think it was?
I've thought about that a lot, and the thing I would do differently is there's a term out there I've heard called Disneyland dad, and that's a term for like dads that don't have custody of their children and get them on the weekends and Thursday, and it's always fun, 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 fun. Um, I was kind of like that, and what I would do differently is I would not let him get out of his accountability for doing um, less than favorable things, be it cheating on a test or I just let him get out of so many things that I should have. Like, you're grounded for 2 weeks. He could pester me for like 2 days. Come on, please. Like, all right, go ahead. Go ahead. So that I think has a whole lot. That was like a seed for him to always get out down the road. It just always seemed to get out of anything.
Accountability.
Accountability.
We live in a world where people do things and
Right.
there's no accountability. And we can take responsibility for that, every human. And I'm happy to know you recognize that, because I believe that that's something we can all learn is we've got to become accountable for it all,
Right.
however that may look, right? And that's what we're leading into right now because
And,
your son later took this cool dad, the Disney dad, the
mhm,
guy that was always fun. You were probably more his friend than a father figure.
right there. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially as he got older, I probably did raise him more like a big brother. He would play select baseball. I never missed a practice. We were into motocross racing, and so he was just like a super cool kid to hang out with. Like this is what I like my friends my age, same interests that he had. But that kind of goes back to the accountability. If he got in trouble, sometimes I would let him get out of it because selfishly it was something I wanted to do as well. A big motocross race, for instance, and he had no business going to that race, nor did I. And I still, uh, he knows he did wrong, and I did that way too many times. Because he would, I think he would just test me how far he went and kind of know how that ended up, you know.
Let me ask you a question because you talked about your former wife and did she have custody? Was it joint custody?
It was joint for a while, and then I ended up getting custody, and Trevor was a big part of that. I think he kind of played both of us for his agenda, and but yes, I ended up um, filing a suit to modify, and I ended up being the primary, and that involved a lot of case studies and all. It was a very long, expensive process.
So you and your former wife, you never got to a point where you could co-parent
Mm-mm,
and do that together and
mm-mm.
make choices responsibly for the child. And we can't blame our parents. You can't
Right,
blame yours, I can't blame
right,
mine because we're all doing our best to
right.
get through whatever we're going through. And I'm just out here trying to figure out how we can make the world a better place
Sure.
through others' experiences. And that's what coming clean is to have these real conversations where we can both walk away and go, ah, you know,
Yeah,
that gives me peace knowing
absolutely.
that is complete. And so your son, he grew up, he was in high school,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And that was in the Austin area, correct?
Yeah, Lake Travis. He went
Lake.
to Lake Travis High School.
I used to live in Lakeway, so I know
That's where
exactly
we
where.
lived.
And my former fiance was a counselor there. She probably was his counselor, but I also think every counselor needs their own counselor. But
Oh, yeah.
don't judge me for that either, because I just every one of us needs guidance,
Mhm.
and I think sometimes when we get a certificate or we get a PhD or something, we feel entitled to having that. And just like you, I feel like the streets of hard knocks sometimes is where we learn our best lessons.
Yeah.
And the lesson you learned is still part of your life today because of the health journey you're on now.
Mhm.
And so, one thing you did share with me, and I didn't read the story that's in the newspaper, I didn't watch the news clips because I didn't know you. And I told Laurie that I wanted to have a real conversation without my own judgment or story wrapped up in what I read. Because we both know that we can read and see things that are fabricated, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's always an
More than
agenda.
ever with, social
And so
media.
you've seen the article, you've read it, you've lived it. Was it accurate for what you believe that happened? Did the media portray your story with your son accurately? And if so, or if not, what would you have done differently?
Um, I think it was accurate, but with a lot of brevity, but I haven't read it in a while. Usually when I see it, then the first thing I see is like his mugshot and then the girl, one of the conspirators that really kind of put us all together and her mugshot. And um, yeah, but I think it was fairly accurate. I mean, there may have been some little, maybe at the time on the day or some, a couple little errors like
but
that.
nothing that you felt like they didn't portray this properly. So we're talking about something our viewer has no clue right now.
Right.
And one thing that you did share while we were on the phone before we decided to meet is I want to take you back to a moment.
Mm-hmm.
You open up your garage door, you just come home from work,
Mm-hmm.
and your Harley Davidson is missing.
Correct.
What's the first thought that went through your mind?
First thought was, oh, goodness, I know my son did this. I knew he probably stole it or helped have it stolen. Because leading up to that point, there was a lot of rough patches where he did steal some stuff out of my house, and I kicked him out of the house. And so the first thing I thought was, oh man, Trevor, that, right off the bat. And do you want me to go on from there? What
Well,
happens next?
absolutely. So, about what age is all this happening? Like, did you know he had started an addiction? Were there
Oh
some
yeah,
signs? Did he do it in front of you? Was there nothing you could do? Like what age was this happening?
several years prior, at Lake Travis High School, and I would come home, I would smell it. Then he would just leave pipes laying around. He got to where he didn't even care, and it got so bad. I actually put him in a like a home for addictions up in Colorado.
So, are we talking pipes for marijuana, pipes for meth or
It
heroin?
looked like marijuana at that point. It seemed like in high school, it seemed like it was mostly marijuana. Um,
Question for you. How do you feel about marijuana yourself? Because we're living in a world right now where I feel like people do a hardcore drug.
mhm,
They always post the blame on marijuana.
yeah.
And I'll just share this. This is about you, but there was a
Mhm,
night I almost committed suicide.
mhm,
And that's when a friend handed me a joint and said, smoke this. And I will never forget my reaction. I was like, that is a drug. And he's like, bro, you've been doing stuff that's way harder than this.
right.
We've been trained. And so, do you think that marijuana was something he did to ease him out of the discomfort of the other drugs, the street drugs, the hardcore drugs? Do you feel like marijuana gets a rap in this whole thing?
Um, well, first of all, I think you asked me how I feel about it. And I'd say the marijuana that I smoked in the 80s was more harmless than some of the stuff that you can get now, like in Colorado or some of the shops. That stuff can be crazy potent. Um,
It's all about doing things with integrity,
yeah,
right?
right.
And I just want to clear up because I'm in a place where a lot of people still think that marijuana is a gateway. And I believe that I love that natural reaction. It's not the gateway. We know that there's something more, but we've never been taught to be good stewards of it.
I'd say the gateway for me and a lot of people was just alcohol. And then after alcohol, you go to parties, and then, there's different stuff going around, and you just start trying.
You want more. Yeah, you lose your inhibition. And then the one thing that gets blamed is the one thing that actually has a lot of healing properties. But that's off track. That just,
Right.
I wanted to know how you feel because it's important in today's society because there's a lot harder things than that plant.
Alcohol.
And so your son's story, yeah, alcohol, and then it led to whatever happened when you opened a garage that day. You might send chills down somebody's spine right now, but share exactly what happened. Your son's been on drugs. You don't know what's going on. You're working. He's staying in your home. You walk in, your Harley's missing. You automatically know something's wrong. What happened next?
So I walk into the house, and at this point, I don't think anybody's going to be home. I figured Trevor's probably out on the Harley. He's probably out riding the Harley, because he did that a couple of years before where he took my bike out on a ride, not to steal it, but he was out riding it. So,
I used to do that to my dad's bike too when I was
yeah,
growing up.
he
Yes,
was-
I
and
think that's
well,
just a kid
he
thing.
grew up. He's been riding motorcycles since he was, 5 years old, and raced motocross. So he certainly knew how to do it.
But you, that day the energy felt different. We
Yeah.
just know, you know, that feeling now. Like
Yeah.
you can't deny what your soul's telling you.
Exactly.
What was that moment
So yeah,
like?
at that moment I'm like, and I have a bunch of fajitas that I stopped to get on the way home, and that's I bought the plan was that Trevor and I were going to watch Monday Night Football. It was going to be the very first Monday Night Football of the season and eat fajitas. So I don't think anything sinister has happened until I see the garage door open and my Harley's gone. I'm like, oh, again, I'm thinking he's out joyriding it, something. And then I walk in, he's sitting on the couch holding a gun, and he has even like gloves on his hand. And there's a girl and a guy walking out of my master bedroom, and he just walks up to me and shoots me right in the gut. And I'm like, whoa, Trevor, what have you done? Why? And, and the next thing I do is I put the fajitas on the counter and I just go to the ground because I watched a bunch of movies and TV shows. And when you get shot point blank, you just lie down and die. So I lay down and they're just rummaging around. They're taking everything out of my house.
Wow.
And after about a few minutes of laying there in my blood, I'm like, man, maybe I can get out of here. Maybe I got a shot. Shot's not a good word. Maybe I got a chance of surviving this
For
ordeal.
real.
So I get up, I run to the front door, I make it out the front door, almost to my neighbors, and he shoots me a second time in the back. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm done. And I'm just laying in the neighbor's driveway. And, next thing I know is I have a neighbor from across the street, just telling me to keep breathing, stay awake. And then there was a police officer, I think, that showed up. In fact, his name was, I want to say, Officer Brinkman. And he kept me alive until the paramedics showed up. And, and I remember what really I think helped me stay alive at that point was my girlfriend and I had reserved a nice resort at Lake Conroe for our high school reunion. My high school reunion was going to be the next weekend, and I'm thinking, okay, if I can just get to the hospital and they can take these slugs out, stitch me up, then I'll probably still go to my high school reunion. I literally was thinking that.
That's good that you were thinking like that,
Yeah.
because most people's mind go a whole nother direction.
No, I wanted to go to the high school reunion and see all my friends. And then the next thing I know, I remember bitching about, I'm like, the ambulance driver. I'm like, are you purposely hitting all these potholes on purpose? Like, now I'm going from shot victim to an ass of a backseat driver.
Welcome to America, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, I know this drive. It's a very quick drive from my house to the hospital. Why is this taking so long? And why does he keep hitting all the potholes? And then that's it. And then days later, I kind of come to in a hospital room. And even now, I still try to piece some stuff together. But that's just kind of, it went from that to waking up in a hospital room and seeing some doctors and then the next thing I knew, it was going to be a 10-month ride through multiple hospitals, over 20 surgeries.
So where are you on your health journey now since
Right
all this
now,
has happened? Yes.
I'm full-time dialysis. The bullets did a lot of damage to everything in my gut, and they were hollow points, so it's like little grenades going off in there. My pancreas was really at first what was the biggest struggle. I had to get some stents, and they were talking about all kind of other horrible, as far as quality of life type surgeries. Like one was called a Whipple, and I already forgot what that is, but it's something you don't want to have. That definitely would change your life, from probably having all kinds of pancreatic bags and stuff like that. But now full-time dialysis. I've been on a kidney transplant list for about, I guess, almost about 5 years now. Been waiting on a
Any
kidney.
update? Why 5 years? That seems like a long time. You're healthy.
Hmm.
You look healthy. Let's
I
just
had to
say
get
that.
that way to qualify. I
So
was
so
heavy.
you've been qualified for 5 years,
Right.
and so you're still waiting for a kidney transplant.
Hmm.
Your son is in prison.
Hmm.
You guys have made amends, I take it,
Hmm.
correct?
Correct.
What is that like now, and where are you on your journey with the transplant?
So, what's ideal for a kidney recipient like myself would be to have a living donor because it's scheduled. You're in the same room. It's almost like getting a new battery versus jump starting an old one that would be the deceased donor. At this point, I'm like, whatever, just stick
God, give
something
me
in
an
me,
answer,
just
right?
get me off dialysis. Um, so sorry, I think I just lost
No,
track of
no
your
worries. For
question.
those that don't know what dialysis is,
Uh huh.
give us a
That's a
scenario
great
of what
question because
that
I
looks like.
didn't know.
Yeah,
I
I
had no idea. I heard it. I've heard it mentioned and talked about. But what it is, it's dialysis basically does the function of what your kidney. So your kidney does a couple of things. It cleans your blood and it makes urine. And when you don't have a functioning kidney, you don't make urine and you don't have anything cleaning your blood. So these big machines, I think of as like a robotic kidney. It's pulling all my fluid out that I would otherwise, you know, leave. When you would urinate or I
mhm.
would urinate. Um,
So it's extracting what's
all that fluid. So basically, whatever I drink stays in my body until I go to dialysis.
wow.
Yeah. So
That's
I
a
had to
really
watch
like
my
I didn't know it
volume.
worked that way myself. That's a
Yeah.
really good analogy. Thank you.
Yeah.
You've educated me today as
Oh,
well
sure, sure.
because we don't know until we get in those situations, but
It's a
sometimes
robotic kidney.
awesome and it's amazing what they can do and there is a place for all that, but
Hmm.
where you are is there's a lot of medications involved in everything you're doing right
Oh
now and you have
gosh.
good days and bad days and
Yesterday was a bad day.
today is a great day.
Today's a great day.
That's
I feel
awesome
good today,
and we're
but
here. So thank
yesterday
you.
I did not feel so good. Even after dialysis, I went home and laid in bed thinking I was going to take like an hour or two nap, and I didn't get out of bed until this morning.
Oh wow. Well, you're very rested
Yes.
and I appreciate you being here.
Yes.
Your son is in prison.
Yes.
What does that feel like? You know, as a parent, a lot of parents out there have had kids
Hmm.
or themselves that have been incarcerated for one thing or another. There's nothing to be ashamed of. A lot of times we take that on as our own thing. What does that feel like for you knowing what really happened?
Um, it's kind of like some days are better than others. So 2 Easters ago, it just seemed like God told me that I really needed to forgive him. And 2 Easters ago, I forgave him. Up to that point, he sent letter after letter after letter. I never read any of them, and I still haven't read them because I threw most of them away. Um, and then I can't remember the details of why I thought, and I think it was correct, but what spiritually, I can't quite recall exactly what happened, other than I remember it was Easter, and I took his phone call and we spoke, and I told him that it's not my role to forgive or not, and it's not my blood on on the cross. It's Jesus Christ's blood, and that pays for your sins, and I forgive you because that's my role as a Christian. I need to forgive you, so I did it for me, and it felt so much better, and even now it feels so much better that right after we speak, I'll say, I love you too. It's just like, a normal father son conversation.
Do you
Uh,
think he's will he be able to get out? Where is he in that? And can he give you a kidney?
um, I don't think he'll get out until probably long after I'm passed. He was sentenced to like 35 years. Well, you never know if I get a kidney. um, but
But so that's weird because you're the father. He's the
mhm,
one that shot you. You
yeah,
guys made amends.
mhm.
It kind of seems like he's well on his way to healing.
He is. He's
Why should
taking
he have to
classes.
spend his whole life? Like this is where the whole forgiveness thing is.
Yeah,
Like this, you're the father. You should have the say in my son should stay in prison or he should not.
yeah.
If you had your choice, would you have your son back? Do you think he's received the help that he needs to be a better man?
That's a great question, and I'm terrified to even answer it. I mean, I'm not terrified to answer it, but to answer it in a way, it would still be a gamble to me because
You're trying
I
to come from a
I have
place of
done
love,
this
but
because what I
yes.
was talking about earlier, how I always came around and let him get off the hook. Is It would be like, am I doing that again?
Mm.
So that's a tough one, and to me, honestly, it would seem like a gamble. I wish I could say, "Oh, absolutely, yes, I would wish he would get out next week," but I still have, you can forgive and not forget,
You
and
know,
it's something I just can't forget. It still pops up in dreams. It's it. it
it's a
I
trauma.
never in a million years dreamed that would happen. Like I've told other people before, yeah, he would be capable of joyriding the Harley or even stealing stuff in my house. But if someone would have called me 5 minutes before I pulled in the driveway and said, "Don't walk inside, your son and a couple other people are going to try to murder you," I would have laughed, hung up the phone, and walked right inside.
Mm.
So I am not the best at judging situations, apparently. So I'd be terrified. I I would be terrified, and hopefully I don't even have the burden to even make that call, and I don't think I do. That's up to
Yeah, I was just curious. I
yeah.
just ask
Oh,
questions
sure.
because these are questions that a
And they
lot of
pop in my
people
head,
have.
and
Yeah,
it's the
and
same
most people are
answer.
afraid to ask them. So
Right.
thank you for coming clean with me on that as
Yeah.
well, because
Yeah.
most people wouldn't even share that. There's a parent out there right now that knows exactly what their child did, and they would welcome them home in a heartbeat. It's
Yeah.
like, and here you are, you're waiting for a kidney and you're still hesitant. You have forgiveness,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, you do a crime, you pay the time.
And it
Um,
was a terrifying situation that, still pops up in nightmares and whatnot. So, um, I've been wrong on every decision, letting him get off the hook, his entire life, and that's my fault. That's totally my fault.
it's brilliant that you take full responsibility for that because there's a lot of people out there that want to blame the system or blame somebody else.
No.
And that's what coming clean really is to me, is taking full responsibility for it all.
Yeah.
And can your son get you? Is he compatible kidney wise?
That's something.
How does that work when somebody's in prison?
Um, so I was told it's a big no. There's first of all, there's the logistics of having somebody who is in there for attempted murder, and then you throw in the fact that it was me. Um, into the logistics of security and all that in a hospital room to that was some of it. Second is even like, let's say, uh, there was somebody in prison who wanted to donate a kidney to me that just heard about my story, just some random person. They don't really, the living donor program does not take people from um, correction institutes because of the high chance of HIV. HIV apparently is, it's a big thing in correctional facilities. So, or other blood diseases. So there was like about three or four factors as to why it couldn't be done. And then he's on blood pressure medication now.
Yeah, he's got a past of addiction, so who knows what his own kidneys are looking like at this point.
Exactly. And then he does have his own health issues now with blood pressure.
So what you're really putting into the universe is to get a living donor transplant
Hmm.
of your kidney.
Yes.
And you've been on the list for 5 years. Can you move up in the list? What moves you up in the list? How can we assist you in facilitating that? Sometimes I've seen people on a list and they wait until their bodies are so weak. What is the point? Like, let's get you while you're still strong.
Exactly.
So what do we do? Like, you're a good man. You've got forgiveness. How do we assist somebody like you in today's world?
I don't know if there's anything that we can do. So every state has their own average of how long it takes to get a kidney. California's 10 years, Florida's 3 years, Texas happens to be 5. Now that's a deceased, that would be for a deceased donor. Obviously, if you have a living donor that fits the bill, then you can do it, in a year if one was so lucky. So it's really just the time frame in Texas is about a 5-year wait. But I will tell you that probably 1 or 2 out of 10. I need to go back and make sure I'm citing the statistic, but I want to say like maybe just 2 people out of 10 ever survive long enough to even get a kidney.
So when you get a kidney from a living donor,
Hmm.
they can live a full life normal.
Oh yeah,
What's the first
they're back to work in
qualification?
like a couple of days.
Wow. What's the first qualification? Blood type, I would assume, right?
Well, so it used to be that way. Anyways, it used to be that way, but now they have a program where there's kind of like a SWAT program, or like a lot. I don't want lottery's a bad name, but so let's say that um, somebody wants to donate a kidney to me, but we're not the perfect match. But this person over here needs that kidney, and their potential donor is a match for me. So really, 2 lives can be saved in that scenario.
Just a swap.
Just a swap.
It's so wild.
Yeah.
So what if somebody's listening to this and they're inspired by your story
Mm-hmm.
because you're a healthy man, you have a good job, you come from a good family, your son is in prison.
Mm-hmm.
We know the story now.
Mm-hmm.
What are we asking for? If somebody out there, a gift from God, wants to give you a kidney, what are you looking for? Blood type? What exactly?
Starting with blood type, and I have the most common blood out there, which makes it, a longer wait when it's but O positive. I'm O positive.
And then what would their next step be?
The next step would be to for any given hospital. I'm registered with Houston Methodist at the Medical Center in Houston. Uh, there's a link on the website for potential living donors, and it's just a very short questionnaire that determines if they qualify for the next steps or not. I would imagine there's questions like, do you have any of your own health issues, blood pressure, diabetes, whatever? And then obviously,
Are you an alcoholic?
Yeah.
You don't want that kidney, right?
Probably no.
They probably wouldn't qualify.
Yeah.
So in all seriousness, I believe somebody out there is going to listen to this. We can supply the link if you can get that to me.
Absolutely.
And you heard from me, from Laurie, what coming clean is all about. And I just want to thank you for taking time to sit down with me, because I resonate with your story deeply, not from your side, from your son's side. Only I never had to go to prison, and I never did anything like that. And I'm thankful every day. And part of my own healing and part of what allows me to keep going is to share stories like yours, because there's so many stories out there like that. And I feel more and more people, if we could just come clean and create a space of oneness, because we are one.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that starts is start putting others first. And I appreciate you for who you are. And I'm grateful for Laurie to introduce you to me. But I'm going to stand with you that we get you exactly what you need, because that's what it's all about.
Right.
And so also the other thing is, the space that I'm in the hemp, and we're doing holistic healing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a full medical advisory board, and we've got a really cool product coming out with mushrooms and cannabinoids, no THC, by the way. And I would love if your doctors are willing to work with our medical team to create you some natural solutions along this journey, because we know that all those medications take us from our higher self.
They do. They do. My medicine cabinet, I probably need a second medicine cabinet built into my house. I take like 7 different pills in the morning. I got to take all kinds of different pills when I eat. And then in the evening, probably like another 7 pills. I keep big pharma afloat myself. I feel like,
Just know that that's not you. That was
yeah,
by design.
yeah,
And it's time to reverse that back and begin. To me, a doctor, if I'm going to talk about my doctor, I want to be talking about how many medications he helped me get off of.
yeah.
Could you imagine if your doctor started saying, "Hey, I got,"
Especially a pain management
yeah,
doctor.
like seriously, and there's such natural solutions. And so if you'd be open to it with your medical team, I'd love to connect them with those at our Botany Scientifics family to find a way. But more than anything, I'm here to take a stand for you to get the kidney that you need so that you can live a powerful life.
Can I just say that we're on the same page there? I definitely want a kidney, but beyond me, I just want more awareness. Kind of like what we talked about earlier. I didn't know what dialysis was. You do now, but I just want to educate more people, especially with all the diabetes going out there, and anything tragic can happen at any time, and it's good to go ahead and get knowledge on it now and not wait until it's too late. I just want to definitely provide awareness around this.
Absolutely. And we're both in our 50s, and your son went to a high school right down the
Mhm.
street from where I used to live. And we were told our age group drug-free school zone, and that is where it all started.
Yeah.
It's time to really talk about the real situation and come up with solutions. And for me, a solution is like you just said, get the word out.
Yeah.
People can learn from other humans that have had the experience. And you can only do that when we're live. We can't do that through AI. We can,
Right.
it's time to connect human to human again. And so that is why I wanted to take the time to meet you, to do this the right way, to honor your story,
Thank you.
because it is powerful. So thank you.
I appreciate it. It's actually very therapeutic for me to talk about. So I
It's
appreciate it.
therapeutic for me to do this. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for coming clean.
Likewise. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.